There's a word in the English language that has come to mean something very particular. When we call someone Machiavellian, we invoke a world of shadows and whispers, of plots within plots, of smiling faces hiding daggers. For 500 years, this word has been synonymous with cunning, manipulation, and a cold, calculated approach to power that treats human beings as pieces on a board. The adjective conjures images of tyrants studying their subjects with reptilian detachment, weighing loyalty against usefulness, discarding the inconvenient without remorse. And yet, the man behind this word never ruled anything. He never commanded an army. He never ordered an execution. He never poisoned a rival or orchestrated a coup. For most of his adult life, he was simply a civil servant, a bureaucrat who wrote letters, filed reports, and traveled on diplomatic missions for a government that would eventually discard him. He was a father of 6 children. He wrote love poetry that was, by most accounts, mediocre. He composed bawdy comedies for the stage. And in his final years, he spent much of his time desperately writing letters to powerful men, begging for a job, any job that might restore him to the work he loved. This is the man whose name became evil. Niccolò Machiavelli died in 1527, believing himself a failure. His most famous book had not yet been published. The republic he had served for 14 years had collapsed. Both the rulers he had opposed and the republicans he had championed wanted nothing to do with him. He was 58 years old, sick and largely forgotten. And yet, within decades of his death, his name would become a symbol of satanic politics across Europe. In Protestant England, he became a theatrical villain, the scheming mastermind behind cruelty and deception. In Catholic Rome, his works were banned. Kings and philosophers alike invoked him either as the teacher of tyrants or as the man who had dared to expose their secrets. Somehow, this unsuccessful job seeker, this admirer of ancient Rome, this devoted servant of a small Italian city-state became the most infamous political thinker in Western history. How did this happen? What if everything we think we know about Machiavelli is wrong? What if the man and the adjective have almost nothing to do with each other? What if the author of The Prince was not celebrating cruelty at all, but diagnosing it? What if he was holding up a mirror to power so brutally clear that generations of readers chose to blame the mirror rather than face what it revealed? Tonight, we will explore the life of this most misunderstood of thinkers. We will walk the streets of Renaissance Florence at the height of its golden age and watch as that world slowly collapses into chaos. We will follow a young man from the margins of respectability into the inner machinery of government, and then into exile, torture, and the strange immortality of lasting infamy. We will read his words as he intended them to be read, and we will ask why those words have haunted the Western imagination for half a millennium. This is the story of Niccolò Machiavelli, not the demon of popular imagination, but the man who lived, struggled, and wrote in a world where the gap between how things appear and how they truly are could mean the difference between survival and destruction. If you find this journey through history meaningful, give this video a like. It helps this channel bring more forgotten stories out of the shadows. And I would love to know, where in the world are you watching from tonight? But to understand how a minor Florentine official became history's most famous villain, we must first understand the city that made him, a place where beauty and brutality were refined into equally exquisite arts, a place where politics was a performance and power often wore a mask, a place where one banking family ruled an entire city without ever officially taking the throne. Florence at the summit. In the 1470s, there was no city in Europe quite like Florence. It was not the largest city on the continent. That distinction belonged to Paris or perhaps Naples. It was not the seat of the greatest king or the capital of the largest empire. And yet, in wealth, culture, and sheer concentration of genius, Florence stood alone. The banks of Florence financed the ambitions of popes and monarchs across the Christian world. Florentine gold coins, stamped with the lily of the city, circulated across Europe as the closest thing the continent had to a universal currency. And Florentine art, the paintings, the sculptures, the cathedrals rising along the banks of the Arno, were redefining what human beings believed themselves capable of creating. To walk through Florence in its golden age was to step into a city intoxicated by its own brilliance. In crowded workshops, apprentices ground pigments, while masters painted masterpieces that would echo through the centuries. Above the city skyline rose the great dome of the cathedral, Brunelleschi's miracle of engineering, standing like a declaration that the modern world had finally surpassed the ancient one. In the public squares, scholars debated philosophy, poetry, and the proper translation of obscure Greek verbs. This was a city obsessed with greatness, and not without reason. Yet beneath the beauty lay a profound contradiction. Florence called itself a republic, a free city governed by its citizens, proud of its independence from the kings and princes who ruled the rest of Europe. But the reality was far more complicated. For decades, one family had dominated Florentine politics without ever formally ruling: the Medici. They were bankers, not nobles. They held no royal title. And yet, through a web of patronage, alliances, marriages, and carefully distributed favors, they had made themselves the unseen masters of the city. The genius of Medici power was its invisibility. Lorenzo de' Medici, known as Lorenzo the Magnificent, ruled Florence not as a tyrant, but something far more subtle: a first citizen, a man who merely happened to be consulted on every important decision, a man whose friends conveniently filled every important office, a man whose enemies mysteriously found themselves exiled, ruined, or forgotten. He sponsored artists and philosophers. He hosted festivals that made the people adore him. He married his children into royal families across Europe. And through it all, he maintained the illusion that Florence remained what it had always claimed to be: a republic governed by its citizens. This was the political laboratory that would shape Machiavelli's understanding of power. In Florence, he learned that what matters is not only what is true, but what appears to be true. He learned that a man could rule without wearing a crown, that authority could flow through invisible channels understood only by those who knew where to look. He learned that republics were fragile things, dependent on the virtue of their citizens and the skill of those who guided them, and that both virtue and skill were rarer than anyone wished. Into this world of beauty, ambition, and hidden power, on the 3rd of May, 1469, a boy was born to a family that possessed books instead of wealth, a circumstance that would shape the rest of his life: Niccolò Machiavelli.